Hello everybody, I am Wiru and today I am breaking down Tobirama, the second Hokage-sama from Naruto, so you don't have to. Before we begin, let me just do a really quick plug. If you love learning cosplay crafting with me, visit my website at akwiru.com and grab one of my books from the store. There's also a free archive of all the tutorials I've made on social media for you to look through, and a gallery full of pretty pictures as well. Also, please consider becoming a supporter on Patreon, where for any amount that you choose to pledge, you'll access all of my YouTube videos 30 days early, plus you'll automatically get a tutorial booklet and pattern of each part of a cosplay that gets complete. Thank you so much for letting me plug. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hey everybody, welcome back to my cosplay workshop for another episode of Wiru Breaks Down Cosplays so you don't have to. For those who are new here, this is the series where I use my experience as a cosplay competitor and a judge to break down the cosplays that you want to make from head to toe, identifying the easy and the difficult parts of the costume, and then give it a difficulty rating so everybody who wants to make this costume knows exactly what they're signing up for. Today's request, Tobirama, is from a commenter on YouTube named Stanks. Thank you so much for this request. That reminds me to remind you that this series is completely powered by your request. So if you have a project you want me to look at, please leave me a comment with your request and I will queue it up for you as soon as I can. So without further ado, let's have a look at Hokage-sama! Behold today's fine art to explain how I would tackle this project if I was going to make it. Let's talk about the easiest component first, which is the clothes that he wears underneath all of his armor. As much as I love to make everything from scratch, looking at his very basic undersuit design, it just looks like normal clothes. So my first move in this project would be to go to a department store and check out the discount racks to see if there are any similar looking sports clothing that is on sale for like $5 or $10. Because for a basic piece of clothing like this, a lot of the time the result is not worth the effort of making it from scratch. And in fact, I'm actually wearing something that could work perfectly for the undersuit of this cosplay right now. And this was just a discounted $5 sports shirt that I got for skating. So while you could make the undersuit from scratch if you really wanted to, there is absolutely no shame and absolutely nothing wrong with buying parts of your costume and making other parts of it. So with the undersuit sorted, we can start going from the bottom layer to the top layer with the armor. So if you look at his arms really closely, you'll see that there is an extra layer of armor underneath his shoulder armor. It's kind of hidden, kind of not, it's just barely visible. I would just do that as one piece with two armbands. If you have ever fastened anything to your arm before, you will know that during the day it will loosen and slide down your arm, which is why I would suggest having a piece of Velcro on the sleeve of your undersuit to just secure that piece of armor to the sleeve so it doesn't go anywhere no matter how much you move around during the day. And the same would go for the leg bandages. I would not wrap my leg every time I cosplay this character and waste bandages and waste time. So every time I need a bandaged up leg, I can just whip out a comfy leg warmer that looks like bandages, zip it up onto my calf and not waste an entire morning just wrapping up my leg and tightening it so much that I lose circulation in my legs. And then during the day, the bandage would loosen up and then gather around like a sad circle around your ankles. Moving down onto the shoes, this character actually very conveniently doesn't wear the standard issue Naruto sandals, so there is absolutely no need to make your own sandals for this. They just look like a pair of flip-flops, so I would have absolutely no shame in just going to a dollar store and buying a pair of flip-flops because that's literally what they look like. And I think you're missing out on absolutely zero extra craftsmanship points by not making these from scratch. Moving on to his armor, even though his armor looks quite basic from the reference picture, there are quite a few bits that could trip up first-time armor makers or beginner cosplayers. So I've broken the entire armor down into its separate panels, and I'll show you how I would personally assemble them and detach them for travel. The torso is split into 3 pieces, one for the front, one for the back, that is linked together by a little bit of elastic if you wish, or you could make it completely detachable so that it can be flat packed for travel. A third piece that come up to the upper chest. And then these 3 pieces are just linked together by your choice of lace or elastic on the side seam, lace on the upper chest panel and the bottom chest panel, and then a shoulder strap on both shoulders to secure it to the body. For comfort of wearing, I would suggest making the shoulder strap nice and wide on the top so all the pressure doesn't concentrate onto a thin string and then dig into your shoulder as you wear it during the day. And then the shoulder armor is just 3 pieces with holes punched into each panel so you could lace them together into a layered armor piece. And then that shoulder plate can just be laced onto the shoulder strap as well, with holes punched into the shoulder strap for you to lace that through. Moving down onto the crotch and butt flaps, exactly the same concept, 3 flat pieces with holes punched in, and then you can lace them together into a layered piece of armor. For easy travel, I would highly recommend making the crotch flaps and the butt flaps detachable from the torso, and the shoulder armor detachable from the shoulder strap as well. For even easier travel, I would make the front piece and the back piece completely detachable from each other, so when you're packing it, you can stack them on top of each other, kind of like how you stack Pringles. In terms of materials, I got 2 options you could consider. The first option is 6mm thick EVA foam, seal it and paint it. This option is definitely more beginner friendly, but the results can be a little bit fragile depending on what kind of paint you use. The second option is to use a thinner EVA foam like a 3mm one and stretch vinyl fabric over it for a more durable finish. This one is definitely a more challenging method because it involves trying to get a piece of fabric to go smoothly around a piece of foam, and there is absolutely no room for having wrinkles in this design, so your work has to be really neat. But the overwhelming advantage of the foam and vinyl method is that you end up with a much longer lasting, much more durable and flexible piece of armor, because the durability of the armor no longer depends on the quality of your sealant and your paint job. So I think if you're up for a challenge and you want to make a cosplay that you can wear again and again and again, definitely consider the more advanced option of the 3mm EVA foam and vinyl fabric method. Last but not least, let's talk about everything that is above his shoulders. First of all, his helmet face piece thing is super simple. It's just one flat panel that looks like this and it fits onto the face. For his wig, we conveniently can't see his hairline or his sideburns, so it means we don't have to use a wig at all for this. Especially for a really fluffy hairstyle like this one, I would suggest just using fake fur and gluing that onto a baseball cap, just like my Jiraiya wig. I think this is the second episode that I have suggested gluing shit onto baseball caps, and you might think that I'm really obsessed with gluing shit onto baseball caps instead of having a real wig, and you would be absolutely right. I think that wearing a baseball cap is infinitely more comfortable than wearing a wig, and when given the opportunity, I will choose anything over using an actual wig. For his fluffy collar, it might look a little bit intimidating at first, but really it's just a furry bagel. There are 2 ways to approach the fluffy collar. The first one is to just make like a giant collar and have 2 croissant shaped pieces of fur and line it with each other and fluff it out afterwards. The second approach is for a more dynamic look. You can have 1 piece of croissant-shaped foam and then make each individual spike by folding triangular pieces of fur in half and then gluing it onto the foam panel. After you've got the fluffy collar of your choice, have a piece of Velcro on the underside, and then have a piece of Velcro on the top of that chest piece, like right at the bottom of the shoulder strap here, so that this collar can be detachable for travel, and this collar will be put on last after you've put on everything else on the day when you're getting ready. And I think that's everything. Yay! With the analysis done, I think it is time to give this project a difficulty rating. Overall, I think Tobirama Senju, our second Hokage-sama from Naruto, deserves a solid, gentle difficulty rating of D, meaning everybody's gonna have a good leisurely time making this one, whether they are a beginner or an advanced costumer. I think my favorite thing about this design is that it is really gentle to cosplayers with just enough minor challenges to keep it interesting. I actually think this project is so perfect for cosplay beginners who want to make a costume for the first time, and even advanced cosplayers who have never made armor before to get an introduction to armor making, and also advanced cosplayers who are all-rounders and just want to go back to the basics and flex their skills a bit. There is something in the design of this costume that speaks to cosplayers of all skill levels and all ages, and that makes me so happy. So that was it. I broke down Senju Tobirama, the second Hokage-sama from Naruto, so you don't have to. Do you have a project you want me to look at next? If you do, leave your request in the comment section. I will queue it up as soon as I can. This episode was made possible by your amazing support on Patreon and Twitch, including everybody on my right, pledging more than $5 on Patreon, and everybody on my left. This is the special thanks to Jonathan, Chad, Sylvia, Hello Lelo, Anamessa, Just Believe Cosplay, April, Natalie, and Mary Deignan for pledging more than $15. Thank you so much for making my work possible. I will see you in the next episode very soon, but before then, please stay crafty. Boom.